Mike DeCourcy of the Sporting News at TSN Mike on Twitter, Hall of Fame college basketball writer, but also Steelers fan. And before we start, congratulations to you. You have been a Liverpool fan a lot longer than I have. And for the second time in the last, 5 years, but the first time in front of fans, the Reds, Premier League champions with 4 games to spare. Was it as much fun, even though it felt like a coronation?
Oh, I think it's different, obviously, than celebrating a Super Bowl or Stanley Cup, because there's the immediacy of it. In this case, it's coming. Or even the Champions League with Liverpool in 2005 or 2019, there's that immediacy and the suspense. And in this case, there was no suspense. It was just a question of what day they were going to do it. They weren't going to lose 5 consecutive games while Arsenal won 5 consecutive games. That wasn't going to happen.
No.
And so it's a little different, but it was very rewarding to sit through that on Sunday. I watch a lot of the Liverpool that I watch as a concession to my wife on delay. But this one, I said, no, you mind? I need to see this live. I need to experience this when everybody else who loves Liverpool is experiencing it.
Yeah, it was great fun for me. As I said on Twitter, I know you retweeted it. You never forget your first, and this was my first. I'm a brand new fan. You've been a fan for a long time. We can have a longer conversation about the current and the future of Liverpool another time. Let me get to the ACC issue. I am a fan of a smaller conference schedule than a larger one. Just from math, it doesn't make any sense to me to play 20 conference games versus even 16, because I'm pretty sure I have this right. In every conference game, there is a winner and a loser. So your overall record has no chance of improving with a conference game. I'd rather schedule smarter within the league than play 20 games. Like, there was no reason for Duke and Miami to play twice last year, but they did. What do you make of maybe the reasoning behind the ACC and the idea of going back to 18?
Well, to me, it's like if you need a knee replacement, you go and get a root canal. I mean, that's basically what they're doing. It has no correlation whatsoever to NCAA tournament success in terms of entering the field. It has none. And I'll give you the proof. I worked it out before I got on today. Over the last 5 years, the SEC has gotten 42 bids. Now, 14 of those were last year, but 42 total bids the SEC has earned in the last 5 seasons. The Big Ten has earned 40 total bids in the last 5 seasons. The Big Ten has only gone below 8 bids one time in that period. The SEC has gone below 8 bids twice. So they're 14 and the 2 8s behind it. They're starting to gain momentum as a league, and they're getting better. But in any case, one of those leagues plays 18 regular season games, and the other has played 20 for almost a decade, not quite. It doesn't matter. It makes no difference. What matters is, how do you play? Yeah. How well do you play? That's really all that it comes down to. And most of that is contained to the non-conference portion of the schedule. Now, a lot of coaches in the ACC have complained about that. They're saying, "Oh, you get better." Well, I mean, everybody could get better. While the ACC teams are getting better, who's to say that the SEC and Big Ten teams and Big 12 teams that they lost to in November and December aren't getting better?
Everybody gets better. That's the whole point.
Yeah, so if you want to go ahead and work out a deal with, I don't know, the Big 12 and say, we'd like to have a challenge series, but we'd like it to be in February so that all of us who get better can be rewarded. Okay, I don't have any problem with that.
Right.
But the television networks and the leagues have kind of morphed into this deal where everybody plays all their non-league games in November, December, and all their league games in January, February, early March. And that's where we are now and have been for a while. And what matters is, how many of those games do you win in November and December? And who did you beat among those teams?
Mm-hmm.
If you look at what the SEC did and in getting 14 bids, an all-time record in terms of number, in terms of percentage of membership, they broke all the records this year. And what they did was they scheduled brilliantly. And when I say brilliantly, I'm talking about all of their best teams and this, entering the league, entering the year, I mean, what they expected to be. Auburn expected to be great. So they played a monstrous schedule. Yeah. Alabama expected to be great, monstrous schedule. Some of the other, Florida maybe didn't know, and they played a pretty meager schedule.
Yes, they did.
So it doesn't matter to your performance which of those paths you enter. But as a league, because they did what they did, and then there are weaker teams, South Carolina played like 18 high school teams and Clemson. I mean, that's kind of what they did. And so they didn't get buried in non-conference, and they kept the power rating and the KenPom and the net and all that pretty decent, and it worked out for them. And so that's smart scheduling. Yep. I don't see that as much in the ACC.
We talk about it in football all the time. They talk about how great their football schedule is. I'm like, what good does that do you if you don't win the games? All it does is expose you for not being good. I don't want to trick the system. I want to be good. I want good teams to get bids to the NCAA tournament, and I don't think you're going to fool your way into that because the people who make these decisions, they can see through that. I would take it a step further. I would go to 16 games in terms of my schedule. I would actually leave open some flexible dates to make other conference game matchups, like the last two, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of each of the last 2 weeks, and set matchups based on standings, based on interest. I would make my schedule entirely in the interest of television and fans, because ultimately this is inventory. So the way they're
doing, that's why
that's
why the Big Ten has played 20 for as long as they have. They have between BTN, Fox, and now Peacock. They have a number of business partners, and CBS that they're trying to make sure that they get inventory. And so their 20 league games they feel are of value to their league partners, and they get very well compensated for that.
Yeah, the ACC should think about redoing the schedule. Like, don't worry about equity. And basketball apparently is the only sport where every team must play every other team once. We don't do it in football. We don't do it in baseball. We don't do it in any other sport. Basketball is the only one that it is required. We play 56 freaking games in baseball. We don't play every other team in the league. We shouldn't have to do that in basketball either. There's no reason for Duke to have to play Florida State unless Florida State happens to be good. Therein comes the flexible scheduling that I would employ. There's no reason Duke has to play Cal in basketball. And I know the other part of that is, why is Cal even in the league? I get it. But there's no reason those two teams have to play every year. You can play every other year. That's fine. Just like we do sort of in football, though that's not going to be an every other year thing either. But we have to move past this, well, we have to play everybody in the league. No, we don't. And we shouldn't act like we should.
Oh, I don't have a problem with that. If that's what again, I was a huge opponent of adding Cal and Stanford. I thought it added nothing to the league. And I don't think that I've been proven wrong to this point, although Kyle Smith, I think, will get Stanford to be very good. He's an outstanding coach. Mm-hmm. And so I think they'll be very good in a reasonable period of time. But I still don't think that it was worth going all the way to California to get that. And so that part of it is over and done. But I don't have a problem with what you're saying. I'm not a super big proponent of the idea of keeping the schedule open so that you can match the teams that are playing well. This feels circusy to me.
Yeah, it's fine. The ACC should have a circus. Kids love the circus. I'm not a big circus fan. The elephants don't smell great, but we need to take care of our elephants, by the way. But yeah, I have no problem with just being different also, because the attraction might actually help you. I am a fan of some form of promotion and relegation in ACC.
Yeah, that doesn't make
basketball.
any sense, Adam, because if you do that, then you're telling the NCAA tournament committee, all those teams that have been relegated, forget about them. They're done. Don't even pay attention to them.
What if they have good records and have won good games outside of the league?
Doesn't matter. You said they weren't any good. You kicked them out of your league, basically.
No, I'm not kicking them out of the league.
There's no way you're going to convince the committee.
I'm scheduling in such a way, and there would be some overlap in the two schedules, but I would be more interested in taking my best teams, the teams who I thought would be my best, and playing them against each other on a regular basis.
Right.
Rather,
that's what the Big East did in the years prior to their dissolution, to their split, the basketball-football split. They had what they called tiered scheduling.
Yep, that's what I do.
I don't know exactly where the tiers stop, but let's say 1 to 5.
Sure.
In those years, it was UConn, Pitt, Syracuse. Can't remember who the other powers would have been.
Maybe it was Georgetown.
UConn, Pitt, Syracuse. I'm sorry?
Maybe it was Georgetown.
I don't think it might have been. Let's just say it was. So those teams would all play each other twice. And then the middle teams would all play each other twice. And then the bottom teams would all play each other twice. There was when the Big East got 11 teams in, which was the record prior to the SEC this year. The teams at the bottom of the league, DePaul, South Florida, Seton Hall, I think was one of them. Providence was pretty poor then. Those teams couldn't beat anybody else in the league aside from one another. Mm-hmm. And so everybody kind of got their little layup, like Pitt would get Providence on their floor, and it was a nice, easy win, but they didn't play them twice, so it didn't weigh down their power rankings, et cetera. And that's how they worked it. And I think every league that does that, that goes in that direction, is doing a smart thing. I think that's intelligent. You're not always going to bat 1,000. I mean, you could put Georgetown in your first tier in that period, and they could turn out to be poor. You talked about Duke and Miami. I mean, I don't think that everybody saw Miami being a train wreck.
No, year. not a 200, not a team ranked in the 200s, right? But I don't think they were supposed to be great.
No, and again, a very good reason why Duke and Miami shouldn't have played twice this year. Should have played once, wherever it happened to fall. Road game, home game for the Devils, whichever. They shouldn't have played twice.
No.
That's with the problem that the ACC's in now, they should go to tiered scheduling. But dropping the number of games is not the answer. It doesn't hurt or help. If you think it works better for you, then fine. But it doesn't make you better or worse in the eyes of the committee. What does is scheduling smarter within your league and scheduling smarter outside your league. And then when you schedule smarter, hey, the SEC, they had, like, Michigan played Florida and Oklahoma on neutral floor. So that's a top team in the SEC and a lower tier team in the SEC. And they lost to both of them. So the SEC had to win those games to be the league that got 14 teams. But that's how you get it done. Schedule smart and then win the games.
Mike DeCourcy, one of the reasons I became a Liverpool fan. I thank you very much for that. It certainly paid off, and it will pay off again in the future. You never walk alone, my friend. I'll talk to you soon.
You bet, Adam. Thanks.
You got it. Mike DeCourcy of the Sporting News.